Spring Summer Patromotherapy, Episode 10. We're reading Anna Karenina, and we're in Chapter 2 today. So we welcome our subscribers back, and we thank you for listening, and we welcome your comments below. And so here we go. I'm going to start off reading in Chapter 2, and there's some words that are a little difficult for me to pronounce, but we're going to get through this. So Chapter 1 ended like this. But what's to be done? What's to be done? He said to himself in despair and found no answer. So that's the way Chapter 1 ends. Here's Chapter 2.
Right.
Stiva was a truthful man with himself. He was incapable of deceiving himself and persuading himself that he repented of his conduct. He could not, at this state, feel repentant that he, a handsome, woman-prone man of 34, was not in love with his wife, the mother of 5 living and 2 dead children, and only a year younger than himself. So I want to pause right there because that is a very rich opening to Chapter 2. He is 34. The wife is a year younger, 33. She's 33 and she's been pregnant 5 and 2, 7 times. They've got 5 kids and 2 more died, I guess. And so here we have Stiva. Do you have any comments about the opening of Chapter 2?
Yeah, Chapter 2 always hits me close because being the man I am, I still have huge respect for women, and seeing how Stiva, maybe he didn't have a choice when he dealt with the French governors, but still, his wife deserved every respect possible, considering that being 33, she already had 8 kids. She's given birth to 8 kids. And I don't know any woman who could have been capable of doing this nowadays. But probably it was different back in the time. But still, when I read it, I think, damn, this Dolly, his wife, she's
yes,
the most help me out here. I don't know how to express my gratitude to women who could have born 8 kids to her husband and still.
I am the oldest of 6 children, and I know that my mother had a pregnancy before I was born, and I that would be a total of 7 pregnancies. And then I've gone back and done some research, into my own personal family tree, and it was very common in Texas with Italian and Hispanic Catholics for a woman to have maybe 12 pregnancies. And at the turn of the century, like in the 1880s or 1865 or something like that, generally, Catholic women did not use artificial birth control. They were not using pills or any other gadgets, but it was very common in Texas for women to have, 12, 8, 10 children, because children were used as labor on your farm or your ranch. So Texas has a lot of land, and I was surprised as I've looked into my own family tree how common it was or is for women to have a lot of children. And even in the year 2022, if you are from a rather conservative rural background, or if you're very strictly Catholic, it's very common right now for women to have 6, 8, 10 pregnancies. And this is in the year 2022. What is what are things like where you live? You're part of the world.
I think
do people have 2 kids? Do they generally have 4 kids?
There are families who have 3, but it's highly unusual now. So basically, if there is 1, we're already lucky. 2 is a norm, I guess. But 8, and also back in the day, people died often. So if you have 10 kids, high possibility that 5 of them could have died any moment until they reached the age 5, for instance. But when you
Right.
now we're on antibiotics and all that. But when you said that this is still a standard in Texas, I thought, how about their husband? Would they still behave like Steve did, like 200
Of course
years
they
ago?
are.
Yeah.
Men are universally men.
Yeah, you know what?
You know,
When I read this chapter, I thought Stewie is a pig. I honestly thought Stewie is a pig, but I don't think man a pig. Maybe it's just this case with Stewie.
well, no, they're not pigs. The thing is, in this novel, women, if you think of the motifs, like the themes are the general themes, then the motifs are the recurring sub themes. So there's the motif of woman as fruit to be eaten, and there's the pear and the reference to the apple. Now, I know that in my grandparents on my mother's side, they were Italian Catholics in Texas. My grandmother had one child that died. The child died in childbirth, and then my grandmother had 2 children, and then after that she couldn't or didn't have any more children. And I know that in my grandmother's house, when I would visit their house as I was growing up, the husband and wife slept in separate beds in the same bedroom. So it wasn't until the 1960s that the double bed or the king size bed was popular in America, or at least in Texas, because the woman slept in her bed and the man slept in his bed, and then I guess if you wanted to get together, you'd crawl into the other bed, but you'd return to your bed.
Oh, I like
so
that.
The whole idea
I like that, absolutely.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that. That's you have your own bed, and like you said, if you want to get together, you just go find yourself a king size, but then you go back to your small, whatever it is, valley size, and that's wonderful. You can do whatever you want in your bed. No one's messing with you.
Yeah, and actually, they say that people sleep better, and now they've I guess in the 80s or maybe the 90s they came out with these different buttons on your bed that would make your part of the mattress firm or hard or soft. But I know in my grandparents' house, and most of the, like, I don't know, my great aunts and some people, people of that generation, the husband and wife had it was called a twin bed. It was just enough for one person. Now, in my parents' generation, they had a double bed, but now they've gone to queens. People have gone to queen size and have king size. So like I have a queen size bed, and it's just interesting how all that works. And sleep. A bed is supposed to be for sleep, but a bed is also for sex, and now a bed is for everything. Like people have food in there, and they have their TV, and they have their phone. Like it's no wonder no one can sleep.
Yeah, I bet Steve never slept with her head at the foot of his bed, did he?
I don't know. Steve is quite a character. It's interesting that in chapter 1 we find out that his wife, Dolly, has discovered that he has had this affair with the French governess. And now in chapter 2, we hear a lot of what I call is self-talk. Steva is thinking out loud. What should he do? Is he sorry? Is he guilty? It's not his fault. Women are so beautiful. So I'm going to just finish the paragraph I was in, and
sure.
then you
Sorry
can
to
read.
interrupt. Yeah, move on.
No. Okay.
I apologize.
No.
Okay.
All he was sorry about was that he had not succeeded in hiding it from his wife. He felt the seriousness of his position and was sorry for his wife, his children, and himself. Possibly he might have managed to conceal his sins better from his wife if he had anticipated the effect on her should she discover them. He had never clearly thought out the subject, but had vaguely conceived that his wife must long ago have suspected him of being unfaithful, and she just shut her eyes to the fact. He had even supposed that she, a worn-out woman, no longer young or good-looking, no way remarkable or interesting, just a good mother, ought to, from sense of fairness, take an indulgent view. it had turned out quite the other way.
Would you
So go ahead
like to
and
make a
read.
comment?
Go ahead and read. Well, yeah, I mean, she's younger than he is, and he is calling her worn out, and he's thinking that, well, she must know I'm being, unfaithful, and she's just turning her eyes away.
That's why
So
I
he's
thought.
giving himself.
That's why I thought that Steel is a pig when I read it first time, because you couldn't have said you're worn out woman to the mother of your 8 children, right? Especially that she's just 30 something years old.
She's 1 year younger than he is, like
Yeah,
chronologically.
Exactly. She had 8 children, and she's worn out. I'm gonna save me, right? Steel is a pig. I still.
Right. Well, yeah. And, he's assuming that she should take an indulgent view. I mean, after all, boys will be boys, men will be men. And that is common in many cultures. Like, men and women get married, and then the woman takes care of the house, and then, boys will be boys, and they go out and play cards or smoke cigars or carouse around, and that's still very, very much, acceptable, and that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what Steve is thinking to himself. Why don't you read the next paragraph?
Okay. Oh, it's awful. Oh dear, it's awful. Stepan Arkadyevich kept repeating to himself, and he could think of nothing to be done. And how well things were going up till now, how well we got on. She was contented and happy in her children. I never interfered with her in anything. I let her manage the children and the house just as she liked. It's true, it is bad her having been a governess in our house. Her means the French governess, because translation might have messed it up a little bit. That's bad. There is something common, vulgar in flirting with one's governess, but what a governess! He vividly recalled the roguish black eyes of Mademoiselle Roland and her smile. But after all, while she was in the house, I kept myself in hand, and the worst of it all is that she's already, it seems as if ill luck would have so, but what is to be done? So that's the end of the paragraph. And again, it ends with the what is to be done question.
Yeah, and I think that question, what is to be done, there's so many moments in this novel and in our own lives where we just wonder, something happens like, well, what should I do now? Like, it could be something with paying the bills, it could be something with a traffic situation, it could be something with a relative or with someone you care for. We just get into these moments, it's like, well, now what am I going to do? And it's interesting to me that Steve isn't really sorry that he slept with the beautiful French woman, but that he got discovered. And I remember once in the classroom, I was asking some college students, is stealing right or wrong? So I wrote that on the board, and I said, I want you to raise your hands if you think it's right, if it's okay. And then I said, now I want to see the hands of people that think it's not okay. So then we had a little discussion around it, and this was maybe 3 or 4 years ago before the pandemic, and the general consensus, I did this in 4 different college classrooms, 4 different sections I had. So say a sampling, 25 students per class would be like about 100. The general consensus, the moral consensus is that stealing is wrong if you get caught. It's not wrong, absolutely. It's relatively wrong. And also then I wrote, is having an affair if you have a boyfriend or a wife or a girlfriend. And the answer was pretty much the same. It's only wrong if you get caught.
I don't buy that. I apologize, but no. It's wrong regardless if you were being caught or not.
Yeah,
I say.
Yeah. Yes, and it's interesting as the story develops, Tolstoy's asking, like, what is right, what is wrong, how to act, what should we do?
Sorry,
I agree.
Sorry?
Yeah, I agree with you that it's wrong, but I am guilty of, lying. I think that in general, probably not a good idea to lie, but I sometimes say, someone told me that I am a very fabulous liar. And I go, these are not lies. Just a rationalization. Lying is bad. It's also interesting, your translation and my translation is just a tiny bit different. Here it says, there is something common vulgar in making love to one's governess. But what a governess. He vividly recalled Mademoiselle Roland's mischievous black eyes and her smile. And that exact expression, the mischievous eyes and the smile, are going, that phrase is going to reappear when we get to meet Anna. And then also the smile keeps recurring. Steva has this weird smile on his face when he's been caught, and then Levin has a kind of a strange smile. But yeah, let's see what else happens.
So
there was no. Oh,
mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, let me read this one, and then you'll take over.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So he ends up with the question he started with, what was to be done, and then it goes like this. There was no solution but that universal solution which life gives to all questions, even the most complex and insoluble. That answer is, one must live in the needs of the day, that is, forget oneself. To forget himself when sleep was impossible now, at least till night time. He couldn't go back now to the music sung by the decanter woman, so he must forget himself in the dream of daily life. That's it. By the way, until we start discussing this decanter woman, you remember I was confused in part one that
yes.
Women were decanter, and then again it goes like decanters were fantastically somehow combined with the women. That freaks me out.
Well, I think that he was drinking, maybe these were ladies maybe it was a men's club and maybe women were serving the drinks. I don't exactly know.
Yeah, but don't you think that if there is a pleasure for a man to have a drink and have a woman, maybe he kind of subconsciously united these two, unified right into one? So decanter woman is like two in one. You buy one, you get
the other.
Yeah, get the other.
Yeah.
Free to go and for free.
Yeah. Yes.
So maybe he's a sicko, sick sicko, but we don't know for sure.
Well, he's just another man.
Oh, maybe that's no pun intended, but no offense taken.
Go ahead and keep reading.
No, you go.
Yeah, this has a lot of some hard words in it. Go ahead and you read the next one.
Okay. But it's in English. I'm sure you can do any word in English, however hard it is, right? Or you want to see how I cope with the exercise?
Yeah, let's see how you cope.
Okay. Cope with who? Then we shall see. Stepan Arkadyevich said to himself, and getting up, he put on a grey dressing gown lined with blue silk, tied the tassels in a knot, and drawing a deep breath of air into his broad, bare chest, he walked to the window with his usual confident step, turning out his feet that carried his full frame so easily. He pulled up the blind and rang the bell loudly. It was at once answered by the appearance of an old friend, his valet, Matvey, carrying his clothes, his boots, and a telegram. Matvey was followed by the barber with all the necessaries for shaving. Is that
so? There's lots of
this word valet.
Details.
Is it valet or valet?
No, valet is the French pronunciation. It's also the English pronunciation.
Okay.
So Matthew or Matvey is his personal assistant, but there's also a barber showing up. So Steva is getting ready for his day, and there's a lot of concrete details here. The gray dressing gown, it has blue silk. We hear a little bell ringing. He's drawing his tassels, and then there's this telegram, so we can visualize a telegram being handed to him. And then Stephen says, "Are there any papers from the office?" Taking the telegram and seating himself in the mirror. So if we made a list of all the times the word mirror is used, I would say that would be that's a pretty important recurring theme, because when we look in the mirror, we see ourselves. And we sometimes wonder about ourselves. Matvey says, on the table, glancing sympathetically at his master, and after a short pause, he added with a sly smile, "They've sent from the livery stable." Stephen made no reply. He merely glanced at Matvey in the mirror, and in a glance in which their eyes met in the mirror, it was clear that they understood each other. Steva's eyes asked, "Why do you tell me that? Don't you know?" Matvey put his hands in his jacket pocket, kicked out one leg, and gazed silently, good-humoredly, with a faint smile, at his master. "I told him to come on Sunday, and till then not to trouble you for themselves for nothing." He had obviously prepared the sentence beforehand. Stephen saw that Matvey intended to make a joke and attract attention to himself. Tearing open the telegram, he read it through, guessing at the words, misspelled as they are in telegrams, and his face brightened.
Okay.
So you can go ahead and read what's in the telegram.
"Matvey, my sister Anna will be here tomorrow," he said, checking for a minute a sleek, plump hand of the barber, cutting a pink path through his long, curly whiskers. "Thank God," said Matvey, showing by this response that he, like his master, realized the significance of this arrival. That is, that Anna, the sister he was so fond of, might bring about reconciliation between husband and wife. "Alone or with her husband?" inquired Matvey. Stepan Arkadyevich couldn't answer, as the barber was at work on his upper lip, and he raised one finger. And Matvey nodded at the looking glass. "Alone. Is the room to be got ready upstairs?" Inform Darya where she orders." "Darya Alexandrovna," Matvey repeated as though in doubt. "Yes, inform her. Here, take the telegram, give it to her, and then do what she tells you." "You wanna try it on," Matvey understood, but he only said yes.
Yes, so Anna, who's going to visit, is the sister of Steva, and Steva is hoping that Anna is going to somehow fix a problem that he has created. So, so far, Steva is just kind of annoyed that he's been found out. He's annoyed that the household is a mess. He's thinking fondly about the beautiful governess, and now someone else is coming. Maybe this other person can help. Stephen was already washed and combed and ready to be dressed, so he's a bit of a peacock. When Matvey, stepping deliberately in his creaky boots, came back into the room with the telegram in his hand, the barber had gone. "Darya has told me to inform you that she's going away. Let him do you as you please," said Matvey, laughing with his eyes and putting his hands in his pocket. He watched his master with his head on the side. Steva was silent, and then a kind, rather pathetic smile showed himself on his handsome face. "Matvey," he said. "It's all right, sir. It will work out," said Matvey. "Work out? Yes, sir." "Do you think so? Who's there?" He heard the rustle of a woman's dress on the door. So let's see who's at the door of his dressing room.
Well, let me just comment a few words before we continue.
Sure.
Well, first of all, I thought that Steve was probably some kind of an oligarch, because he had this barber and the valet, and everybody's looking up for him. Although I'm a little bit confused, if the valet is his friend, why wouldn't the barber be the same? And barber is completely silent. He didn't say a word during the scene.
Well, the valet is his personal assistant. So his personal assistant knows when he's come in from carousing at night and takes care of his boots. His personal assistant knows if there's lipstick on his collar of his shirt and gets rid of it. So Matvey, or in English I guess we would say Matthew, is his personal assistant who knows all of his indiscretions. Now the barber is just somebody like the cook, or someone that cuts his hair, or someone that gets the horses ready.
Well, the barber keeps a blade in his hand, so he's got to be more just a cook. Although the cook is also, a double-edged sword.
but I think, yeah, go ahead.
No, I thought, how do you imagine Matvey? What would he look like to you, Matthew?
Oh, well, this is just me, but I imagine people that are powerful are tall. So I imagine him sort of tall, sort of with a clever smile,
How old would he be in your imagination, Matthew?
Well, I think Steva here claims that he's 33, so I would think maybe he's around Steva's age, maybe a tiny bit older, not much.
You see,
these are men who understand each other.
How different we are. I think he would be some kind of peasant-looking man, kind of old, twice as old as Steva. Maybe not twice, but about 50. Steva 30. Not very bright, but who's been very long with his master. Some kind of an adjutant, but out of duty. And
no, but I think that the guy has a wry smile. He knows what Steva's been up to. He's like the expression "lipstick on the collar." That's not in the book, but that would be the modern expression. His personal attendant knows all of what Steva's been up to. So Steva is not going to hire some klutz or bumbling fool from the country. He needs someone who's pretty suave. But that's just my idea.
Yeah.
It also could be an older fellow who's experienced. He could be older and experienced in life, but it needs to be someone who understands how to take care of Steva's indiscretions. But yeah, he could be older.
Yeah.
He could be older.
Yeah. It's funny, when you read it and I read it, we have different ideas, but when we see a movie, I mean, there is no choice. The Matvey is the Matvey.
Well, you go ahead and read the next part, because there's like a gigantic name that is like very hard.
Who is there? Asked Stepan Arkadyevich, hearing the rustle of a woman's dress at the door. It is I, said a firm, pleasant woman's voice, and the stern, pockmarked face of Matrona Filimonovna, the nurse, was thrust in at the doorway. Well, what is it, Matrona? Queried Stepan Arkadyevich, going up to her at the door. Although Stepan Arkadyevich was completely in the wrong as regards his wife, and was conscious of this himself, almost everyone in the house, even the nurse, Darya Alexandrovna's chief ally, was on his side. Well, what now? He asked disconsolately. Go to her, sir. Own your own fault. Maybe God will aid you. And she's suffering, so it is said, to see her. And besides, everything in the house is topsy-turvy. You must have pity, sir, on the children. Beg her forgiveness, sir. There is no help for it. One must take the consequences. But she will not see me. You do your part. God is merciful. You pray to God, sir. Come on, that will do. You can go, said Stepan Arkadyevich, blushing suddenly. Well, now, do dress me. He turned to Matvey and threw off his dressing gown decisively. Matvey was already holding up the shirt like a horse collar, and blowing off some invisible speck, he slipped it with obvious pleasure over his well-groomed body of his master. I hope you don't mind that I completed this chapter, do you?
No, it was perfect.
Thank you.
I think it was perfect. And also, I think that just as Matvey is the personal assistant in the house, the closest one to Steva, this Matriona, whatever her name is, the nurse, is the most trusted one for Dolly. So the most trusted one for Dolly has come to tell Steva, okay, Steva, you have to man up. Come on, just come in to talk to her. You can do it. And then Steva's like, oh, she won't talk to me. And then the nurse, who knows the family well, knows their relationship well, I see her as, her face is pockmarked, so she's not someone beautiful, but she's someone maybe strong and loyal, and she, gives Steva advice about what to do. And then we see Steva, I picture him like a peacock, he's dressed, he's shaven, he's beautiful, and so chapter two ends.
Well, if you're having trouble with spelling out Matrona, you can think of English equivalent, or maybe Spanish, Maria, or English equivalent would be Mary. So Who?
Okay.
Yeah, what is it, Mary? Could it Steva going up there at the door?
Mary. I don't know.
Mary. Yeah. No, you don't like it.
I don't know. I don't know if she's Maria, she's going to be Hispanic because I live in Texas.
Why? I mean, everybody knows Steva is guilty. Why they are on his side? I don't get it. Because
the thing is, as Steva asks himself rhetorically, is it wrong that the pear is so delicious? Is it wrong that a peach is delicious? Is it wrong that a banana is delicious? Men are not just going to eat one fruit all their life. They may choose a woman to marry, but there's always the peaches out there, and then there's the cantaloupes, and then there's the watermelon women. So the same thing for women. A woman would agree to marry a man, but that doesn't mean she's not attracted to other men. Now, the attraction is something natural, but the will to take action is something that we're morally culpable for. So, attraction is part of our physical nature. You see some woman in a cafe, you think, well, she is like so beautiful. It doesn't mean you're going to get her phone number and call her up because you're married, but you feel attracted. Or like maybe you're in a bookstore, or maybe you're buying pistachios at the grocery store, and you see a girl ringing up your groceries, and you think like, well, she's a very pretty young girl. It doesn't mean you're going to get her phone number, but attraction is some part of our natural nature. And one of the themes of the book is the natural man and the civilized man. So Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a French philosopher, wrote about the noble savage, that there is something noble about our natural self. Now, the Christian tradition teaches that our natural self is sinful. Like we were in the garden, we were naked, we were Adam, we were Eve, we messed it up, we ate from the fruit of life and the tree of life and knowledge. And now, women have to suffer the pain of childbirth. And that's how, Genesis ends, that man and woman are cast out of the garden into the world just to try to work out what it is to be a man and a woman.
Oh, thank you.
How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel?
You want to talk about this? It's like we're in the therapy session. How does that make you feel? Would you like to tell me about this? Yeah, that I like it. I like it. I think that's a great way to start the day, reading Anna Karenina for me, and maybe to go to bed for you.
Yes, I'm now thinking of some cute guys I saw yesterday. No. The thing is, we do have choices, and we're going to continue to discuss free will, and we're going to continue to discuss, Steva and Nat. We're going to meet Anna, and we have not yet met Levin, and we have not yet met Vronsky. So we thank our listeners for listening, and goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now. And remember, head at the foot of your bed. Goodbye.